There's been a little bit of chatter at Blizz-con about one of PC gaming's most coveted franchises finally making its way over to the console market. And is The Last of Us faction still alive? Find out. Up next. What up guys, this is Kalo and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and welcome to the level up. Alright, so at Blizz-con we got a ton of new updates around World of Warcraft. The game is getting some new expansions, and Phil Spencer took the stage to elaborate where the future of Blizzard lies as a whole. He talked at length about making great games. And of course, one of those games just happens to be this small little title called World of Warcraft. Of course, like I just mentioned, the game is getting 3 new expansions. But there's always been this taboo topic in gaming, which is centered around World of Warcraft coming over to the console market. Now, this argument has 2 ends of the spectrum. For me, I think it's just wrong in so many ways. I don't know how to describe it, but it would be like if Iron Man showed up in a Superman movie. It would be so damn cool, but at the same time, what the heck is going on? On the other hand, now that Blizzard is under that Xbox umbrella, it makes a lot of sense. Over the years, Xbox as a console amassed a rather diverse catalog of MMOs, some of which include Phantasy Star Online, Final Fantasy XIV, and of course, Elder Scrolls Online. And not to mention, this would open up the game even further to those who have yet to experience one of gaming's most historic titles. But is this prospect real enough to happen? Well, while speaking to Games Radar at BlizzCon, Holly Longdale, who is the VP and executive producer of World of Warcraft, had this to say. She said she talks about this prospect all the time. Quote, "It's a complicated question. For a console audience, the approachability is likely going to be different. Right now, we're focused on the World Soul Saga. But if that comes up, then we'll re-examine things. But man, we've got a lot to deal with right now. We've got these 3 expansions and we're excited about them. But yeah, of course. It would be very insincere to say that we're not. Like, of course we're talking about that. We are Microsoft now." Now, I get all of this just kind of feels dirty, and I wish I had a better way of putting that, seeing how World of Warcraft, which is a pillar of the PC gaming world, could potentially make its way to a home gaming console. I also want to stress this point that me personally, I don't think World of Warcraft needs to migrate to a home console, and I don't think they need the player base. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, it would open up the game to even more people. I would also hop into this game seeing how I made multiple attempts to get into it, but maybe this time around it'll stick. Now to provide a little update on a game we've talked about here a few times on the level up, and that's The Last of Us Factions. Now, for a few months, it was assumed that Factions was either shelved and put on the back burner over at Sony, or was just flat out canceled. But a tweet from the game's director might have just put these rumors to bed. So in this tweet, he talks about killing 300 plus Marios in Super Mario RPG. Wow, that's a lot of Marios, but in the end, he kind of slides in this little nugget stating, quote, "Yes, I'm still working on that game." Now, there were a whole lot of reports coming out around this game, ranging from Bungie coming in and raising a lot of concerns over the game, which then led to the game being put back into the oven. And that in part was due to the game's quality and viability. Then there was a report that came out saying no, the game is not canceled. But many of its devs got moved to another project, but a small group remains in the trenches while Sony reevaluates the game's direction. Then that story came out, and Naughty Dog themselves put out this here quote to give fans a sense of where they stand as far as Factions goes. Quote, "As development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as other games in development, including a brand new single player experience." Now, I've been firm on this idea they should just ditch the idea of launching the game as its own thing. I think a better approach here would be to give the game even more time and really iron it out. Then attach that multiplayer to The Last of Us Part 3, whenever that decides to come out. Because you know people will buy that game like crazy. That gives the multiplayer a basis for the game, and I assume at the very least, if you buy Part 3, you're gonna kind of be inclined to play the multiplayer at some point. Whether it's good or bad, that's a whole other conversation. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this question off to you guys. Is it just me? Or does World of Warcraft coming to a home console just feel weird in so many ways? But that about does it here. I've been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.